Hey everyone, I'm Trevor, and today we're going to share with you some tips to save time on every ride at Disneyland. So let's get going. And we're going to start right here on Main Street with the Main Street Disneyland Railroad Station. There are 4 Disneyland Railroad stations around the park, and the 2 best ones to get on without having to wait for multiple trains are going to be right here at Main Street and also over at New Orleans Square. Now, with New Orleans Square Station closed during the Haunted Mansion queue renovation, this is going to be your best location for getting on the Disneyland Railroad. We've got a little show going on right now, so we'll just walk and talk as we go up Main Street. But essentially why those 2 stations are the best to get on is because that's where the most amount of people get off. And if you are at a place like that Toontown entrance, which I feel like is the one that the people get off the least at, it's potential that not enough people will get off the train to free up some seats for you to get on the train. And that means that you'll have to wait for the next train cycle. And the best stretch of the railroad is actually from Tomorrowland to Main Street, USA. So a lot of people do get off at Main Street because they've seen that best stretch. So what we're going to do now is walk around the park in our typical loop. We're going to look at every ride, and I'm going to share with you some secrets, tips, and hacks in order to cut the line in each and every one of them. And the first ride we are going to approach is Jungle Cruise. Now, the line is out the door here, but the one thing you want to look for is if there is nobody in that upper area, you're golden. It's not going to be that long of a wait. Sometimes you'll also see people over there. That's okay if you do. It just means that they're routing people up top. They'll come right back down. But this room, and then specifically that room, like if you see people over there, it's terrible. Do not get on the attraction. Now, we're not gonna get too close over here, but right here is where the line splits. And there's a left-hand side and a right-hand side. Whenever you get past the stairs, you'll be able to choose one or the other. And our first major tip for this video is that left is best. Generally speaking, throughout all the rides in the park, you want to choose the left-hand line whenever you're given a choice between left or right side. Regardless of what ride you are in, just remember, left is best. Why is this the case? Well, because, Disneyland is a US park, and the American mentality is to gravitate towards the right-hand side. We drive on the right-hand side of the road. We walk on the right-hand side of sidewalks. I don't know, we just tend to drift to the right out of habit. And your goal is to actually do the opposite of the majority. You want to do what everyone else is not doing, and it will tend to be shorter for you all around. Right next door we have Indiana Jones Adventure Temple of the Forbidden Eye. Now, I actually hesitate to share this hack because it's a bit of a loophole, but right over here off to the left where it says River Cargo Exporting, that is where you get the Rider Switch Pass for this attraction. Now, we'll talk more about Rider Switch in a minute, but generally speaking, you get Rider Switches at the standby entrance line. Actually, the very first time I discovered this hack was totally by accident. We went in there to get a rider switch because my youngest wasn't able to ride the attraction. And then when we got out of that, the ride had closed down. So we weren't able to get on. We went and did something else. While we were doing something else, the rider switch actually became active. So when we came back, James and I just rode the rider switch without ever having gone through the standby line. Now that Benjamin is tall enough to ride this attraction, it no longer applies to us anyway. And it really only helps if you have a party of 4 exactly where the youngest is not able to ride. Otherwise, it's kind of a pointless hack, but it really does help skip a lot of the line. Now, Rider Switch as itself is available on every single attraction with a height requirement. And if you have a child who is under the height requirement in your party, they won't be able to ride. And of course, an adult will need to sit out with them. And Rider switches there so that the first group of people wait through the standby line, and then the person who sat out gets to go through the lightning lane so that they don't have to wait in the standby line as well. It speeds up your whole party being able to go through the attraction. Now, over here at Pirates of the Caribbean, generally the left is best policy also applies. However, since Pirates of the Caribbean added a lightning lane attraction because of the Haunted Mansion queue renovation, all the standby guests now go to the right. There is no choice, and the lightning lane is on the left. I'm hoping that this returns to a standard standby only attraction after Haunted Mansion reopens, in which case left is best policy will come back into play. Now, as we approach Haunted Mansion, of course, it is closed for renovation. The rumors indicate that it might reopen around August of this year, but I still want to talk about one of my favorite hacks at Disneyland, and the one that will save you the most amount of time. And that hack is going to be applicable to any ride with a pre-show room. You're going to want to position yourself near the door that opens up after the pre-show. Now, some of the rides, this is pretty obvious and everybody will herd there. Except for at Haunted Mansion, when you walk into the elevator room, all of the walls look the same and nobody but a select few know which door is going to open. And I'm about to let you in on the hack. So you first walk into the vestibule. There are actually 2 elevators in this room, one off to the left and one off to the right. The whole area is kind of shaped like a diamond, so that if you go into the elevator on the left, the door on the right-hand side of the room is going to open. If you go into the elevator on the right, the door on the left-hand side of the room is going to open because they both spill into the same hallway on the opposite side of the wall there. And so, if you know this, if you know which elevator room you're going into, you can position yourself up against the wall that is going to open up. And what this means is that if you're the last person in the room, you could potentially be the first person out because you positioned yourself in the room correctly. If you are enjoying this video and finding it helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you'd like to save money on your next Disneyland vacation, call my friends at Getaway today and tell them that SoCal Disney Dad sent you. Or click the link down in the description and use my coupon code to save on their already discounted rates. Now, over here at the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, you don't often really need any ride hacks because there's hardly any line, but I did learn about one relatively recently that you should take note of. Now, over at Disney California Adventure, we've been telling you for quite some time about the Buddy Pass on Monsters, Inc., but did you know that the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh has a Buddy Pass too? I just learned about this earlier this week. It's called the Roo Pass, and it works the same way as Monsters, Inc. They fill the back row, so whenever there's a party of 4, the back row is often left empty in an attraction. So the Roo Pass allows 2 or 3 people, if you can squeeze into that last row, to ride on one of these attractions. It kind of functions like single rider, but if you have a party of 4 or more, your group is going to get split up, but you can do 2 and 2. You just might be a few cars separated. In order to get that Roo Pass, you would just talk to the cast member at the front of the attraction. Next up, we come upon Rise of the Resistance. Now, Rise of the Resistance is a bit of a mixed bag. Everybody has different opinions on what to do here. My general tip is not to rope drop the attraction. I showed up at rope drop this morning and the line was insane. I got in line, like the line stopped moving at about 8:04 and it didn't begin moving again until 8:18. What that meant was that the ride had a delayed opening and that people in line spent about 15 minutes going nowhere. And then they still had to get through the attraction in the first place. And see, what I find that this does is it wastes the golden hour. And the golden hour is a time between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. where it's best to ride rides around the park because you can literally walk on the attractions. Now, we already told you not to follow the majority, but we will officially add it as a tip here. In addition to the long lines, there's the stress of showing up early and fighting the crowds to get back here. And it's just a huge waste of rope drop. In addition to the 18 minutes you would have wasted just standing in line, the actual attraction takes about 20 to 25 minutes just to get to the ride through all the pre-shows, and then the ride is about 5 minutes itself. People wouldn't have been getting off the ride until maybe like 8:50 in the morning, and that just kills the entire first hour where you could be walking on pretty much any other attraction. So I often say that you're better off riding it at 9 a.m. Additionally, there are 2 pre-shows where you can cut some time from your wait. The door to the first one in the Ray Room is pretty obvious, and a lot of people do sort of crowd in front of it, and you may not have an opportunity to slip past the crowd. But the second one is in the transport ship outside, and most people gravitate toward the front or the back of the transport, but you actually want to stick as close to the door that you entered through as possible. And then whenever that pre-show is over, that door will reopen again, and you will be in prime position to pass every single person that got on the transport in front of you. Chewie! The next attraction we need to talk about is Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. And this is our first opportunity to talk about single rider line. There are 3 rides throughout the park that have not 2 lines, Standby and Lightning Lane, but also a third one for single rider there off to the left. And single rider is my preferred way to ride Smuggler's Run. Now, first thing in the morning here, a lot of these attractions just don't have a whole lot of lines. However, during the busier times, I've seen Smuggler's Run get up to 80 to 100 minute waits. And when that's the case, I usually prefer single rider Now, because of the configuration of Smuggler's Run, they have 6 seats on the attraction, and a party of 4, again, is going to occupy the first 4 seats. If they don't have any single riders to take on the attraction, those 2 back seats remain empty. But what they often like to do is take some single riders and put them in those back seats. So whenever James and I have gone and done single rider before, we've actually been together. We haven't been split up. So that's a great factor, a great idea here at Millennium Falcon. Now, I often find Big Thunder Mountain Railroad to be a rope droppable destination. Maybe not the first ride that you do, but the second. It often has pretty minimal waits first thing in the morning. You'll definitely want to come here if you want like a 10 to 15 minute wait. Definitely before 9 o'clock. The left is best policy is going to hold true here as well once you get up to the split. Other rides in Fantasyland include the Mark Twain Riverboat, Sailing Ship Columbia, and Davy Crockett Explorer canoes, which all share space on the rivers of America here. None of these attractions really need any tips or hacks because you can get on them whenever you want. Now, as we enter Fantasyland, you should be aware that no individual ride has any specific hacks to save you time. The best advice that I can offer you is to take advantage of the golden hour, which we've already briefly mentioned. What is the golden hour? Again, it's 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's the best time to ride rides. The second best time to ride rides here at Fantasyland is going to be 10 p.m. to close. So I highly recommend that you show up at rope drop and you stay until park close. This advice is valuable for all of the rides in the park, but it's most crucial for Fantasyland because none of these attractions have any lightning lanes, except It's a Small World and Matterhorn. Peter Pan's Flight is the most popular ride in Fantasyland, and everyone usually wants to know how to save time here because the lines get long, sometimes up to 60 minutes, though it's usually in the 40-minute range. Right now it's only 30 minutes, which is actually pretty solid, but my best advice is actually only useful to on-site Disney hotel guests, and that's to take advantage of early entry. Early entry allows guests staying at the Disneyland Hotel, Grand Californian Hotel, and Pixar Place hotels to get into the park starting at 7:30 a.m. and ride the rides in Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, including Peter Pan's Flight, a whole half hour before the park opens for regular guests. On days that Disneyland has early entry, which are Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, you should plan to ride Peter Pan while the crowds are low for the shortest wait. If you are not a hotel guest, the advice is the opposite. On early entry days, you don't want to come here because the line is already 20 plus minutes before the rope drop crowd even gets here. Instead, if you want to rope drop Peter Pan, you should do so on the other 4 days of the week, as DCA has early entry and Disneyland does not. Not necessarily a tip to cut the wait, but if you want to have a special experience, you could be a whale watcher and have your kids sit on the very front of the boat if you ask for it. And that was over here at Storybook Land Canal Boats. Matterhorn Bobsleds receives the same advice as Smuggler's Run. Single rider is the best case scenario here, in my opinion. Your party will be split up, but it'll drop the 45-minute average wait down to about 15 minutes at worst. You don't really get a choice here as to which side of the path to choose. There is a Fantasyland side and a Tomorrowland side. Most people are aware of this. The Fantasyland side is often referred to as the tamer of the two sides. You can make a request of the cast member that tells you which side to go on, but there's no guarantee you'll actually be able to get in the side you want. Now, It's a Small World is one of those areas that also has 2 lines. As you see, there's one over there, which would be the right-hand side if you're coming from the queue itself. And then over here is the left-hand side. And this is one instance where the policy of left is best is actually not the case. Now, I did say generally speaking, but the left-hand side is the wheelchair loading side, and this takes time, slowing down that side whenever they are loading a wheelchair onto the handicap accessible boat, which there is one right there headed our way right now. And so the right-hand side is actually better here. It is a Small World. Now let's go up into Mickey's Toontown. For Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin and Chippendale's Gadget Coaster, there are no real tips or hacks to help you out here other than to ride them early, as they do get long lines later on throughout the day. But you could also just choose to come back later. Keep an eye on the Disneyland app for wait times to fall, and when you see the rides become more manageable, make your way back up here to Toontown. For Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, there's only one small hack, and it's the same as Haunted Mansion and Rise of the Resistance. When you first enter the pre-show theater, move all the way to the front and position yourself in the dead center of the railing. This will swing open, allowing you to move forward to enter the ride loading area. If you don't know why this would be the case because it looks like you're walking through a TV screen, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Now we need to backtrack a bit to get down to Tomorrowland. There are no new hacks for Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage other than the tips that we've already shared. Over in Autopia, you'll find this is another instance where the left is best policy is valid. Now, in fact, right now, left is the only way to go. Whenever you get up to that line up there, there is actually a split right around where my finger is pointing. The right-hand side goes down the far walkway, the left-hand side goes further, and it looks like the left would be the worst one to use. When they do open up a third line, it's gonna be over there, and they're only gonna have one side running, maybe line number 2. And so it actually is better still to stick to the left because they're taking 2 lanes on this side to 1 on the other side. Now, in very rare occasions on busy days, all 4 lines will be open. And so that is, that's great. Then you can go in really either side you want to. Another more general hack that you could apply to all of these rides like Autopia, Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage, and mostly all of the rides in Fantasyland, which are more geared towards little kids, is actually to skip parades and fireworks. Because most of the time these families are staking claims on Main Street or by It's a Small World an hour to an hour and a half before the parade. And as the parade time draws closer, more and more people are staking claims and not riding rides. This reduces the congestion and the waits throughout the park right before and during parades. But the time right after parades are actually some of the worst, as all of these people are then dispersed throughout the park. For Space Mountain, you should be aware that this attraction does have a single rider line, though it's not as obvious as the other 2 that have clearly marked entrances. Space Mountain single rider is actually through the exit. If you don't want your party to be split up, Space Mountain is my #1 recommendation for rope drop, as the line moves pretty quickly, and you'll be in and out in 15 minutes even if you're at the very back of the line. This beats the 60+ minute waits it experiences later on in the day. That is a really nice piece of artwork. Why is that not a t-shirt? I would totally buy that. The rest of the rides don't have any special advice or hacks, so let's talk some more about some general time-saving tips for the rest of your day. First, make sure you're using mobile order for meals. This allows you to look at food menus while waiting in line for rides, order your food ahead of time, and just pick it up when you get there. This not only saves time from having to walk around the park from restaurant to restaurant looking for what it is that you want and see what they have, but you'll also save time not standing in line at the restaurant itself. It's a huge plus to not have to waste time being indecisive about where and what you want to eat. It's also just a good idea in general to avoid the busiest times of the year. We're talking about times like spring break and Christmas. I used to lump summer in with this as well. However, this last summer I felt like summertime was actually less crowded than some of the other times of the year, and that's because 2 out of 4 pass levels are blocked out. I found Saturdays in July to be exceptionally great because even the 3rd level of pass is blocked out and only the top tier of locals and Magic Key holders are able to actually come into the park. That made the rides and the wait times significantly lower on Saturdays in July specifically. Was just a really great and fantastic time. Of course, the biggest time-saving tip of all is going to be to purchase Genie Plus, and then you can use those lightning lanes to skip a large majority of all of the lines at every attraction that has a lightning lane, which is a good chunk of them. I'll put them on the screen here for you to see exactly how many rides it allows you to skip. Now, it doesn't completely bypass all of the line, but it does do a lot of it, and it speeds up the process quite significantly. And if you would like to save money on top of time, pre-purchasing Genie Plus when you buy your tickets will lock in the lowest rates, because the prices do fluctuate depending on how busy the day is, but if you lock in those rates, you will get the cheapest option, even if it's busier on the day that you come. If you'd like to learn more tips like this one to save money on your next Disneyland vacation, go ahead and click this video right here to keep watching. Hit the like and subscribe button if you found this video helpful, and go ahead and drop any comments below if you have questions about things that maybe I didn't cover for you. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again next time.